everyone, I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati. I'm here with you today to discuss TCS model questions availability. Right, part 1. So we will be discussing some practice model questions which were asked in the previous exams, and these questions will provide you a sort of effective practice for your upcoming exams or upcoming verbal ability exams. Right, let's get started. So now part of this verbal ability questions, we are going to deal with only a few questions for this session, and later on we will be discussing other important questions. So let us get started for now. So now this is a pattern, and the pattern will be more or less the same, in the sense the topics that will be asked across all other verbal ability exams will be the same. Why? It's because English has almost like the concepts like fundamentals of this English language will be like what? On grammar is what? Again, grammar has many different aspects. It could be like article correction, prepositions, conjunctions, and para-jumbling, scrambled sentences, and you have to read and understand the comprehension passages, and then you will have to improve sentences. You have to focus on formal and informal language. It is very important in English. You cannot use some informal sentences when you use English. So you have to be very careful if you're in informal setting or informal setup, or if you're in a formal setup. So this informal and formal setup, both are important. And how you really identify errors. What are some mistakes you will have to identify. So all these will be part of your verbal ability exam. So reading comprehension, passage completion, error spotting, sentence completion, knowledge of formal or informal language, sentence improvement, knowledge of spelling, vocabulary, parajumble. So mostly these are asked in your verbal ability exam. So shall we start with the question? Right, the question number 1. So you have to identify the error here. So mostly the questions will be on error identification. So here the question that is asked is, the part of the sentence below may contain an error. Identify the error. If there's no error, choose no error. So that means there's a question asked and you have to identify the error part, and then what is that part. Now remember, when they ask you to identify the error part, do not provide the right answer until and unless they ask you to pick up the right option from the options given. So until then what do? You have to simply identify the part by selecting one of these options, A, B, C, D. So you take one option and then you can choose that answer to be the right one, right? So what is the question now? World Health Organization must intensify their efforts to vaccinate people in African countries. World Health Organization must intensify their efforts to vaccinate people in African countries. What is your task? Your task is to identify the part. What's wrong here? What's wrong with the sentence? Do you find any problem or any mistake here? Now observe closely. Sometimes the question looks, it is perfectly all right, and you don't have to identify there, and it is like, it is so tempting, and you feel like, you get tempted to choose the option no error. You'll get tempted to choose the option which says no error. So that's why you have to observe it very closely. World Health Organization must intensify their efforts to vaccinate people in African countries. Now, what are the options given? World Health Organization must. So that's going to be one part. And the second one is people in African countries, B. And the third option is no error. Fourth, intensify their efforts to vaccinate. Intensify their efforts to vaccinate. So what's wrong here? So World Health Organization must intensify intensity or intensify. It's like you intensify your efforts. So what is this intensify? Intensifying something, intensification, intensity. It is nothing but you try to do little more deeper and little more serious effort in whatever you are trying to. SERIOUS. So you try to aggravate it, you try to deepen a process, anything. So it is just like, the act of your verb, which says that you have to intensify it, you have to act upon it. So there's nothing wrong with the word there. World Health Organization must. So some students feel, no madam, we have to use the obligatory word like should, must, should, anything can be used. And what else will be the answer? So it doesn't have any problem. People in African countries. So do you think people in African countries, so what happened to them? Nothing happened. So World Health Organization must intensify their effort to vaccinate in the people in African countries. So there's nothing wrong with must. There is nothing wrong in these African countries. And because I said 1 2 options are not faulty, does that mean this you can go with this option? You cannot go with this option either. And now think about this: intensify their efforts to vaccinate. Intensify their efforts to vaccinate. In the sense, now I want you to draw your attention, pay attention to this word. Okay, their efforts, pronoun. So now if you treat this World Health Organization as one entity or one group or one party or one organization, now the subject should agree with the verb. Now what is the verb added here, used here? Their. Their is the wrong usage here. What do you have to say? World Health Organization must intensify its efforts to vaccinate people in African countries. So it is not plural. So plural word their should not be used. So instead, you can use it as the right option. So you can go with the option intensify their efforts has some problem with it. So you can go with this option. But the thing is, students, do not write the right answer. Just pick up the wrong answer and choose the letter. That's all. Because this is for your information why you have to choose this element as the option as some problematic option. Next, your answer is D. Next, shall we go to the question number 2? The part, again, this is an error correction sentence. The part of the sentence below may contain an error. Identify the part. Again, this framing or the pattern of the question will be the same. A paramedic is expected to be highly skilled into dealing with emergency patients. A paramedic is expected to be highly skilled into dealing with emergency patients. Now, what's wrong with this? Now, paramedic, who is a paramedic? Somebody who intervenes, in medical treatment, and could be your first aid person. So, first aid treatment, somebody who assists you in that treatment, and could be anyone with medical knowledge who will intervene in the actual process, or and need not be a doctor completely, but somebody who can really assist you in other medical treatment, right? So that paramedic is expected to be highly skilled into dealing with emergency. Now, highly skilled into dealing with, hold on. Next, let us look into the other options. No error. Do you think this is flawless? No, you are absolutely wrong. It has a flaw. Right. Now, what is a flaw? Emergency patients? What? Emergency? Yes, of course, patients who are under emergency. A paramedic is expected to be Of course, here a paramedic, if you take it as a single person, is expected to be, even the tense or even the grammar goes right here, then it should be something else. And what is that? Here you have to be careful with using skillful or be skilled, highly skilled at doing something. Okay, skilled at dealing with, skilled at is skillful, we say, skillful or skilled at something. Okay, instead of using into, we have to use at. So this is the problematic expression. So you have to avoid saying skillful into dealing with, instead skillful at dealing with, right? So you can choose this option to be the problematic option, right? Third one. The part of the sentence below may contain error. Again, error identification. The rise in the price of oil and an increase in demand has forced some farmers to harvest oil crops for biofuels. The rise in the price of oil and an increase in demand has forced some farmers to harvest oil crops for biofuels. Now, if you understand the question carefully, now look at the option. The rise in the price of oil and increase. Okay, rise and increase in demand, both, had some impact on that, right? But that doesn't provide you any answer to support has forced some farmers to harvest oil crops or biofuels is the option. Now, farmers to produce oil crops for biofuels is nothing wrong. No error, no, it has some error. In demand has forged, right? In demand has forged. Here you can look at the sentence, rise in oil and increase in demand have forced farmers to harvest oil. Okay, if this sentence has two different ideas, okay, you can count those as two different objects or two different elements and can treat it as plural or more than one, and you can use have as the important verb here. Has forced, in demand has forced. The rise in price of oil and an increase. So you can ignore all other options. So you can think that as, have forced someone to do it. Okay, the problem is with has, not has, have. You have to go with the option C. Next, fourth question. Select the appropriate option to fill in the blank. Select the most appropriate. That means here you are not identifying the error. Instead, you are not identifying there, but instead you are trying to pick and choose the appropriate ones. I have a lot of work to do. I can't leave the office 1 hour. Now, what do you have to use? By 1 hour, until 1 hour, or for 1 hour, or since 1 hour. Now you have to get your prepositions right. When do you use by? You have by. By can be used in many ways. When you are measuring something, like you buy it, it is 10 rupees by, it is, what is a measurement you are using? Okay, by dozen. Okay, by dozen you measure. Or you can say within the framework, by measuring, and within the framework, by this time. Okay, also by means of something. Okay, you use by in different ways. So by this person, okay, as somebody, a way of. Okay, a way of. So now you cannot take this preposition to fit into this context. I have a lot of work to do. I can't leave the office by 1 hour is not appropriate. So eliminate the option. Next, until. I have a lot of work to do. I can't leave the office for 1 hour, or until 1 hour, or since 1 hour. Yes, you're very near to it. Though this is a little tricky, until this has happened, I won't be able to finish. I won't be able to start another project. Until then, up to then, okay, or till then. So these are different meanings you can try to memorize when you are seeing this preposition until. So until 1 hour, it's like you are not up to 1 hour. It's like, you're talking about the duration of time. Now, when I say the duration of the time, now immediately you should recall what is the purpose or what is the function of this preposition for. Preposition for talks about the duration. For, okay, how many hours? How many hours? So when you say for 1 hour, you are mentioning the duration. So for how many? How long? How long will be? Okay, how long? For 1 hour. So you are directly citing at the duration of the time. Now what about if you ask since? Since will always talk about the point of time. So Sudeepthi, has been teaching since 7 o'clock. Okay, so since 9 o'clock. Here what is there? Point of time. The start of the time is, starting time is, okay, very much mentioned here. So in that case, you can use this preposition since, but not for, right? So now this should make it very clear that for is always about the duration of time. For how long? For how long? Lengthy. Okay, so the length of the time. You can think about the length of the time as the function of the duration. So you can take this as your answer for 1 hour. Now take a look at this picture. It will help you understand the preposition, the function of it very clearly. Now if you see, now you can see a balls inside the cardboard or inside of rectangular box. And now this is the best way somebody can understand the actual use and purpose function of any preposition. Now if you say in box, okay, it is inside the box. When you say on, it is on. It is not inside, it is on. Now you can see the placement of this ball, right? It is not inside, it is on top of something. Now when you look at this at, when it is at, it is near to. And at has many functions. Now it is not just used in the context of the place. It is also used when you are trying to say anything specific. Okay, at 4 o'clock. Okay, at this building, at this main building. So when you are specifically talking about the place, time, you can use the preposition at. So when you are talking about any specific time, you are going to use this preposition. Now, so you can understand the place of this preposition. Now look at near. Near, it is near to that. It is not very close. It is not, in contact with it, but it is near, adjacent to it. Under, now you can see the placement of the ball. Over, now many students have problem with this preposition over. Now, madam, what is the context of it, and what is the meaning of this preposition? Over in the sense. Now you can use this preposition in different contexts. Number one, you can use over when you are referring to anything which is not in contact with. Okay, for example, you can see the ball is over the cardboard. Here the sense is you are saying that it is higher. Okay, higher, but which is not in contact. So the ball is over the box. The ball is over the box. It is not in contact, but it is a little higher. In other contexts where you can use something which is in contact with, when you say the carpet is over the floor. The carpet is over the floor. Over the floor, here you can see the contact of something. So one situation is where you are not referring to it not in contact with, and the other one is the example I told you, the ball is over the box. Okay, and the other one is in contact with, and the other context where you can say it is, and oh, she's over phone. A phone is by way of talking. Okay, and when you are referring to it, when you say, oh, she's over phone, and completely she's preoccupied, that is also one context. And another context where you can use over is when somebody has control or authority. Okay, I can, somebody, the boss presides over the meeting. Okay, he decides over the meeting, convenes. So something, when he has control over it, you can use it. So likewise, you can use over in different contexts, right? Now, below, above, round, through, piercing through someone. I cannot get through the problem. I cannot, get through I came through the problem. Pierce inside, went through it, layers of it. So you can use among, which you can, if you can see, among means like more than 2 or 3. So more than 3, you can say I cannot decide this decision. Now students, you have to decide among yourselves. When I say among themselves, when I say more than 2, between usually happens between the 2 things. Do not, and this will be one more error correction sentence, because when 2 people, when 2 persons, when 2 girls, when 2 boys, anything, you will use between. Do not use among when you are referring to 2 things, because it will be grammatically flaw. It will be grammatically wrong in treating that. When you find the context which has or which refers to the people more than 2, yes, definitely you can use the preposition among. Right. Next, behind, in front of, you can take a look at. You can take deeper look into this little later at the same time. Okay, towards, directed towards, over, next, all that. Even over, see, you can say over there, higher, and here in the last sentence you can say it here also. So here the thing is like moving from one side to the other. There, here, little higher. Okay, so extending from, moving from, extending, moving to another place also. Okay, you can use this preposition here, whereas here this refers to higher place, right? So if you understand the context, you can use the preposition very easily. Next question. Read the following passage and fill in the blanks by selecting the more appropriate options. Now here you have to read a passage, a small passage, and you have to choose your answers from the options given. So there it's like, you are improving the passage here. Right now, what is a passage? By 2025, marketing campaigns relied on artificial intelligence to enhance customer experience. Companies will be communicating their, you have to find out the blank, only through personalized and curated content. Curated, something which is created, with human intervention. Okay, content. Now, what are the options given? Well, we'll have, would, will be. Now try with all these 4 options in the blank given. Okay, by 2025, marketing campaigns will rely on, will be relied on, but we don't say will relied on. Where is the be form? Okay, you will take the support of this be, will be relied on, but not without be. So it is wrong. Next, option 2, will have relied on. Now let me come back to this one after C and D option. Now I have something to talk with you here. Next, option C, by 2025, marketing campaigns would relied, again, would be, will be relied. So obviously you will not say would relied on. There is no grammar as such. And 4th one, will being relied on. It is completely wrong sentence. Now what draws your attention? Now option B draws your attention. Let me take time to explain you that. When will you talk about will have? Future, that is there in a tense here. Yes, in English we will discuss future perfect tense. Future perfect tense. Will have done. Will have done. Okay. So let me, make you understand some important essential inputs here. Now understand, this represents action which have been, will have been. It did not happen right now, but in future it will have been occur. Imaginary, but by that time it will have been occur, okay, at some time in future. That's the sense. Now let me give you some examples. I will have written articles on different topics before you come. I will have written articles on different topics. That means future perfect. By this time, I will have written. Robert will have read various kinds of books. In future, in perfect, you will have done that work. They will have played it. It is not present, but in future, it is possible. By that time, it will have, it's like they will have played football, will have played, will have read, will have written is talking about the future time action. So that is called, when do you use perfect tense? If you have completed just now, right? I have completed. I have done this work. So it is completed. So here will have means future completed action. So that is the sense. So the option here, problematic option is will have. Oh, sorry. The right option is will have, if there is no clue. Now, what about the second option, blank 2? Companies will be communicating what? Their uniqueness, marketing, future, or products. See here, students, these are very near. Options are very deserving. In English, you can use different words when you mean the same. Let me give you an example. When I say, I'm very depressed, at this moment. So I can use the word depressed. Or else I can also say I'm very sad. Okay. I can also say, that I'm looking, you look very gloomy. I can also use I am in bleak mood. That is a sad mood. So that is what, the English is a little tricky and it is a little sillier at the same time. So it will deceive you. So what is the relevance to the question asked? You can also say companies will be communicating their uniqueness through personalized and curated content. Uniqueness is something which is very individualistic and which is not, it doesn't give any scope to others to resemble, okay, to, imitate. So that's a good word to use. Whereas the option B, marketing, you'll be communicating, okay, through marketing. You're communicating marketing only through marketing. You do something. It's verb. It's an action. You cannot say it's like companies will be communicating their marketing. Communicating itself is a verb, and you cannot use the same another verb, similar verb. So two verbs won't go. So definitely this won't be the option. Next, future. Companies will be communicating future through personalized and curated content. You cannot say, okay, you will be communicating your future. You will not communicate in your future, but you will be communicating in future. So this is not possible. Now, products. Companies will be communicating products to enhance customer. So when you say communicating products means you sell products, right? So you'll be communicating your uniqueness, your style, right? So hence this is very near and this is appropriate. It's not about the accuracy, dear students. It's not about the accuracy, but it is about the appropriacy of something. So this is the question about. Next question. Select the most appropriate option to fill in the blank. Almost, all colonial buildings have been so altered and developed that their structure is no longer. Almost all colonial buildings have been so altered and developed that their structure is no longer. So what do you do here? Now let's try with every option. Almost all colonial buildings have been so altered and developed that their external structure is no longer what? Is no longer necessary. Now you have to choose at the same time. Almost colonial buildings have been so altered and developed that their external structure is no longer necessary. Now it's their external structure. You don't refer to any structure using the word external structure. When you look from, it is external. It is external, from external point of view, from outside. Okay, from distance. Okay, from distance you see this. Okay, and it distant perspective you say, but usually it is not very appropriate to it, though it is not grammatically wrong sentence, but usually you don't pick up it. And at the same time, that this structure is no longer necessary. It's not about whether it is necessary or important or not. It is all about, these have been altered, changed, and so there is no resemblance. You cannot find it. That is the sense. It is not about the necessity, right? So obviously you can eliminate this option A. Next, almost all colonial buildings have been so altered that they developed the original structure. Original structure is no longer recognizable. So the initial, the previous one, the original one, this is not a Xerox copy, but this itself is the original. So this is possible, dear students, because this is original. It is no longer recognizable. You are not able to identify. You are not able to find it. You are not able to recognize that. So that is the sense here. Now let us see the third option. Main, almost colonial buildings have been so altered and developed that their main structure, you do not say main or less important or the least one, no longer found, because though found again is related to search. It's like, you lost it and you find it. So that is the sense here. But it is not about losing something, but it is about recognizing whether you are able to identify it or not, whether you are able to recall it or not. So that is the sense. And fourth one is, so obviously this will not be the option. The fourth one is whether it is external. If we have eliminated, it won't be internal as well. And attractive structure is internal structure is no longer attractive. No, it is wrong, because we are not taking this internal word also, because it is not about external or internal view. It is all about whether it is original, whether it is the exact one or not. So you can go with the option B, original and recognizable. Next, 8th question. For the 4 sentences, paragraph below, sentences S1 and S1. Here 2 sentences are given. You have to find out the other sentences. Name them. S1 and S4 are given. S2, S3 you have to find out, right? Now how do you find it? From the given options. What are those options? P, Q, R. So see, these are the options. Now read the paragraph. Now obviously it will take some time, but you have to develop quick and speed reading in order to comprehend the content given in the passage. Some 200 kilometers from Leh are the villages of Da, Hanu, Gakone and Dachik on both sides of the Indus River, inhabited by the Buddhist Da tribes. Okay, so they introduced the theme. The easiest part here is, it is very easier for you students because they are introducing the theme there. You don't have to, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences are given, and if they're jumbled, if you have to put them in sequence, and that is a little difficult. But here, when they themselves keep it in order and provide you the first one, it will be very easier for you to find out the rest of the body, rest of the structure. Now what's that? He added people of this region are culturally and linguistically different from those in other parts of Ladakh. This is fourth one. This will be the last one. Now you have to find out the sentences previous to this, much before to this, and after the first one. You have to find out the continuity, the sequence, the continuity, the flow of it. So what are this? Now options given. The villages are together called the Aryan Valley. The villages are together called the Aryan Valley. Now we are talking about the villages are, they are called Aryan Valley. Now we are, in the previous sentence, you talked about villages, and now you are referring to that village and say it is Aryan family. Now the word Dhar is derived from Sanskrit word Dardas, which means people who live on hillsides, said Virendra Bangru, assistant professor at Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, who has extensively researched on their lives. So here you are talking about the origin where it has been derived, the word Dar, and now the language from which it's been derived, and then who said that, and what's his his profession. Then there is also a line of thought that the Aryans of Ladakh might have descended from soldiers in Alexander's army who had come to the region over 2000 years ago. Now you have to arrange them. Now what will be the options given? RP, QP, PR, RQ. Now see, you can think about the option 1 which has been introduced already. Now villages, now you can connect option P as the sequence of it or the continuous expression. Together call the Aryan family, and now you are talking about it. The Dar is derived from the Sanskrit word Dardas. So you can also, why do you have to eliminate this option D? You are eliminating the option D because this one is additional. This one is additional. Now you cannot, what is P and Q? P is very much there. You are referring to the villages which has already been introduced in the first case. That is why you take the continuity. Now they mentioned these are the villages. In the next flow, what will come? These villages are called. The villages are called. Now you can see the flow of it. And then you can furthermore take it forward, saying that the word Dad, because here they mentioned Dad, by the Buddhist Dad tribes. Now you can catch the last word and think of the others, option like Dad is derived. Now why are you eliminating this option R? There is also a line of thought that the Aryans of Ladakh. Do you think this is completely digressed? No, it is not digressed, but it is. You can see the hint of it. Also a line of thought. Also you have to look for the contradictory or linkers or connectives. Connectives. Here, this is one of the connectives. Connective word. What is also? But also. Not only, but also, even though, although, as well as, because you can see these will give you many hints, because when these will take you to a little different point. So when you see this, it's like you are combining other things, or else you're deviating a little from the main subject. So obviously the sentence which has this connective will not be part of the main thing. It is connected to the theme or the paragraph, but right now it cannot be there soon after S1. You cannot take this as the sequence flow. This can be part of any textual paragraph. This can be part of any paragraph, but immediately it will not be in the sequence. So it may come as R only, as the rightly positioned R. It will come in the third place only. It will not come in the first place soon after S1. So P and Q can be the right answers. Next, another question. Similar question. When employees are constantly working for a long time, they start getting influenced by others' vibes and moods. Now again, options are given. S1 is given. Again, S4 is also given. You have to fill in those gaps S2 and S3 from the options PQR, right? Let's see the first one. What is S1? Employees are constantly working for a long time. They start getting influenced by others' moods and vibes, right? You are talking about employees here and how they get influenced, how they get impacted by others' moods and feelings, right? Now, what is the continuity here? And before that, let's see the fourth one. But this emotional transfer also happens through digital communication. But now you see, this is another linker, connective, okay, which we said this will not be in the front place. They will not start the paragraph right using this linker, but no, usually they talk about some instead, like for example, social media is very good. So what is social media? Social media has its own advantages, many advantages, and now what are some disadvantages? Oh, okay, and then you talked so much about social media, but it has, okay, many disadvantages. Now, when did you use this word? After speaking about everything, you talked about the definition, you talked about some process, you talked about the advantages, and there you are trying to show some contradiction. Okay, but however, but, okay, even though, although, nevertheless, nonetheless, they will be the same in spite of, despite all this will be connectors which will take, which will be showing little digressed actions. Now this phenomenon is known as emotional contagion that spreads very fast. Q, positive emotions lead to higher productivity, creativity, and job performance. QR, emotional contagion is most pronounced when employees are together physically. Okay, this spread, there is a rampant spread, so contagious, infectious, is most pronounced. Pronounced here means established or marked. Okay, is seen. That's also another context you can meaning you can take it when employees are together physically, generally when they sit together. Now, what will be the sequence of PQ, PR, QP, RP? Now, when you think about this phenomenon, when employees are constantly working for so long time, they start getting influenced. This phenomenon is known as emotional contagion. Okay, so which phenomenon? What is this? And sitting together, influencing. This is called something. And now they positive emotions lead to higher. What are some possible effects of it? Emotional contagion is most pronounced when employees together. This is additional detail. Now, what can you take? You can take option B. Option B, what is option B? PR, this phenomenon. Now, let me give you another clue. Here, this means this word relates to the previous one. So, this pronoun will give you a clue like which has already been mentioned. For example, I say, I know apple is very very nutritious fruit. Apples have many benefits. If you take this apple, you will be very healthy. It has, for example, now I see it has many uses. So why am I using it? Because I've already mentioned the subject in the beginning. So because I said apples, now I can continue with it. If I don't mention the subject here, I cannot use this pronoun. So this will give you the clue that there has been the subject in the previous sentence. So that is how you need to relate it. That's why this phenomenon, this or that or which, these are keywords which will give you enough clues. This phenomenon, which phenomenon? Phenomenon of getting influenced. Okay, so that is why, and you're talking about the effects of it. They lead to what? Higher productivity, creativity, and job. Very good vibes or bad, good product, positive vibes. They will lead to higher productivity. It is so simpler. Students, do not get confused when you are talking about. It's like you look at a face and you see your eyes, nose, your eyebrows in different places. You have to place them, right? So in the same way, you have to arrange them, in a neat, structured way, right? That is why you can eliminate this option. Positive emotion leads to higher. Emotional contagion is most pronounced when employees. You are talking where exactly it is observed. In the first case, you said somebody will be influenced. In the second case, you said this is known as emotional. And now you're talking about how it is established. Emotional contagion is most pronounced when. So, I can eliminate the other option as, what are some benefits, or what are some, useful things, what are some things you can really observe, you can mark. So that will be additional. So you don't have to, you can eliminate the option R. It's like, option Q, like it leads to productivity, it leads to creativity, it leads to this and that, right? You can talk about the definition first, and then you can talk about the process, and then you can talk about the actual implementation of it and actual establishment of that. Later on, additionally, you can add on, like you in the previous sentence, you can see it will lead to higher productivity. Positive emotions lead to higher productivity. So are these bad? No, are these not part of the paragraph? Yes, these are very much part of it. But in the sequence, this will be the first, and R, emotional contagion, is because you are talking about where exactly it is marked. So that is why it will come soon after P, and PR can be the right. First is already given, S2 as S3. Now you can bring this as little, the last option is a little later. You can bring it a little later, and you can mention this. It will bring, or it will lead to higher productivity. Let me give you some tips. These are some tips. Look for the opening sentence. Always. Opening that introduces a person, thing. Always opening sentence will give you the clue. Like here, you can see it will give you the clue. What is the clue here? They are getting constantly working, the influence of working employees. Okay, so that is a clue. Now spot the center theme of each paragraph. You can note down each paragraph will have one particular theme. What is this paragraph? For example, here if you look at it, you can see the first paragraph here, it is introducing the problem. What is the problem? What is happening? Okay, so in the second case, you are talking about the definition of it. Definition, or what is it called as? So this will be the theme, right? Likewise you have to identify the theme. Third one is follow the sequence. You have to follow it. Follow what comes first, what will be the continuity. Fourth one is connectives. We said, right? But, even though, as well as, not only, but also. Fourth one is but if they will not be opening lines. That's what we said. They will not start. These words will not be used in the beginning because these are contradictory and these will take diverse routes. They will be they'll be, digressing. They'll be deviating. Exactly. These words will help the author to show the deviation and digression. Fourth one, pronoun and articles. Like I told you the example, it's this. Okay, it's this. These will help you understand the previous, the point which you have mentioned. Next, look out for preposition. Look out. Prepositions also will give you enough clues, like to, towards, and if you can understand them in context, that will be very easier for you. Don't think these are not part of it. These are very much part of it, the rest of them, but they are not in sequence. So these are some tips you have to follow. Keep understanding, keep memorizing the tips, and try to actually implement that in the case. So with this, we will close the session. In the next session, we will discuss another 10 verbal ability questions. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.